All right, what's going on, everyone? How we doing? Joe Fucarino is in the house, in the studio. Another episode of Therapy Without a Degree. I feel like it feels good to be on the mic. I took a few weeks off. You know, we recorded a couple episodes, couple batch ones, so it feels good. Been busy, but you already know we here. I got a very special guest in the building. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. My name is Aisya Carroll, and I'm so grateful to be here in this moment. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we need a round of applause. So, what you been up to? What you been doing?
I do a lot. So I call myself the medicine woman. And the reason for that is because I help my clients heal. My book, The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond, is one of the first introductions of my healing journey and how I was able to help some of my clients heal with a actual book.
Hold on.
Okay.
Dropping too much fire this early. She said this is the first. Hold on, y'all heard that, right? Like that means we need a little bit more. Yo, she didn't even get started yet. All right, and she already with the book. All right, sorry. Carry on.
Okay, so
before I rudely interrupted you.
No, you're fine. So I'm a certified life coach.
Okay.
So I help my clients heal with trauma, with domestic abuse relationships, with childhood wounds that may have been so deeply rooted inside them that they're not able to understand why their relationships are being affected. So I help my clients transition from poverty mindsets to a wealth mindset, from a low self-esteem aspect of seeing themselves to increasing their esteem to where they're confident in who they are. I also do something called quantum Reiki energy healing. I am certified in that, and I help my clients by sending energy healing to them. Excuse me. I also am a psychic medium, so I can speak to spirits and give readings to my clients. I do a whole lot.
Yeah, so you be busy.
Yes.
You be busy. Okay, I see it. But okay, so you mad busy out here. So you doing now. How long you feel like that journey for you has been doing that type of work?
It has been very healing for myself as well, because I meet people where I used to be, and seeing where they are now, I can share my experience and show them like, look, you're not alone. I've been exactly where you are. I'm not fluffing. I'm not bullshitting. I'm just showing you authentically, this is me. I'm still healing. I'm still growing. But you can be the best version of yourself that you want to be without having all these other outside influences that are negative to impact you in the way that it's impacting you. And it's been very, very inspiring to me.
And now, so what is your day look like? And also what are you up to like beyond that? Like what's going on? What's your day to day? Like literally today's Wednesday. I want to know what'd you do these last few days? Talk to me.
Okay. So these last few days have been so busy.
Okay. What's up?
Yesterday I did a pop-up. So I do pop-ups where I sell candles and oils, and these are all products that I make. I also sell like sage and crystals and healing spiritual supplies. The night before that, I was at a charity event giving psychic readings. And I think I gave like 10 readings back to back in person. And those are intense. Like each person gets like 20 minutes. So imagine sitting face to face with multiple different people, telling them about their lives.
Yeah.
And for me, it's always so amazing because all I ask the person is their name. I don't need to know anything else except for your name and what kind of reading you would like. And from there, I would just give readings. And then the day before that, what did I do? Oh, I just have so much going on. And I have two
Yeah.
children. So like being a mom.
How old?
My daughter is 16 and my son is 12. So, this age is always busy with the kids.
I met your son, right?
Yes.
He is. Yeah, he's mature for 12.
Yeah, my son, he comes with me sometimes when I do events. My daughter does as well. My daughter's running her own business.
Oh.
So
let's go. 16 years old?
yes.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah,
Shout out to her.
She's
And your son ain't look like he ain't too far away.
No. He actually, like, sometimes he'll say, Mommy, I need some evil eye bracelets. So like, well, I'll make bracelets. We make evil eye necklaces and things like that. And so he'll be like, I need to sell them at school. So like, I want my children to be in an entrepreneurship mindset.
Exactly.
I don't want them to be in a mindset that they have to work for someone because you working for someone, your pay is capped.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And you can't be your highest potential when you're at only this maximum. And I want them to understand that there are multiple ways of making money that they enjoy. Okay. A lot of times we get sucked into this corporate mindset. We're in school. They teach us to go out and work a job. But is that fulfilling? Is that what your purpose is? And a lot of times we tend to forget what our purpose and our calling is.
Yeah, and it starts at that age, because it's crazy. Because first of all, sidebar, before I even get into that sidebar, what's a piece of 16, right? My little one's 14. Right behind you.
Oh, she's so adorable.
Yeah, she got a boyfriend now.
Oh.
Yo, we just found out. I'm not ready.
I understand. I think open parenting, in my opinion, is the best.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was a teenager, like most teenagers, they try to sneak around when they're not allowed to do things. So I do allow my children to so-called date. It's not really dating.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
It's not really dating, but I want them to be
I get
open.
warm hearing.
Yeah. I want them to be able to talk to me.
Yes, yeah.
Because they can get information from their friends and it can be wrong.
Yeah, talk about it.
So I'd rather them come to me and have a conversation with me and tell me specifically what's going on. I want them to come to my home so that I can get a good understanding of the people that they're around.
Yeah.
When all their friends gather around, everybody's at my house. I'd rather it be that way than y'all are at someone else's house, because I can monitor and see what's going on.
Talk about it. I joke, but yeah, I'm super blessed to even have known, because I know how it is as a kid. Like we were that age not too long ago. Like time flies. Right. So I'm blessed, but I'm still just like, yeah, you know how it is. 'Cause I'm 16. So anyway, it's and it's funny too with the whole entrepreneurship thing. It was funny because she even. I've done my best to showcase entrepreneurship, but it's tough because it ain't easy. You know what I mean? And it's like when maybe the other co-parent knows how it's not easy, sometimes then it could be like, okay, well, one person's for it, one person's not.
Right.
And then even the kids see it too. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I agree with you. You're making sense, but it's still hard for you.
Right.
And she recently was just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get a little job, something. She's 14. And I'm like, to me as an entrepreneur, that hurt my soul because it's like, she does entrepreneur stuff. She does make shirts and stuff like that too. But it's still just like that fact of like, damn, it still is like, you still might have to still thinking you might have to go get something.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's like, damn, as a parent, it's like, hey, you know what? Try that then. See if that's what you like.
Yes. Yeah. I think giving them the option is very important.
Yeah.
Allowing them to try out new things. If you want to get a job, go ahead. Try it out. See how it works. Now you're going to see the pressures that you go to. And we talk about the pressures of becoming a diamond.
Yeah.
Now you see the pressures of working for someone else. That'll give you more motivation to work for yourself and to bring the money in on your own.
Yeah. You know, on the flip side, though, I do want to kind of play devil's advocate with this just a little bit, but I don't want to stay on this too long. But it's funny because, you know, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So that's how we met at the entrepreneur networking event.
Yes.
And I did those because I work with a lot of creatives and a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And I was like, look, I want to just create something that brings us together. Because, you know, I do really good at networking, but, you know, sometimes it's hard for people, right? So I've created those different things. But on the same side, I've noticed too, entrepreneurship is also like a hot trend.
It is.
And it ain't for everybody.
It's not.
And at the same time, can't all just be owners.
Right.
So for your perspective, like where does that, do you feel like everyone, like I think, you know, people should always trial and error, give it a shot. But then it's also sometimes I do say some people have to be real with themselves.
Yes.
And understand, like maybe pick a better company to work for.
Right.
Because if you're entrepreneur, right? Now, what if someone maybe doesn't want to be or maybe can't be the boss and the CEO, but they want to work for a really, you know, powerful woman, another entrepreneur like yourself.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, you know what? You're not maybe, you know, having your own business, but you're working with someone that has great core values.
Yes.
So like, what do you think about that? Like that balance?
I think that's absolutely amazing. I worked in corporate America for like 13 plus years, and I was, I was overworked. I was the best employee most of the time, and I was criticized most of the time. I would do all of my work, and then when my colleagues didn't do their work, guess what? I had to do my work and their work. And there were no raises, no promotions. If they were, it was like a 50 cents raise. Come on. You know, I think if you want to build wealth, then entrepreneurship is the key. Now, there are different things that you can do. Maybe real estate investing, maybe stock investments. You know, it's so many different aspects that you can jump into, but also collaborations are key.
Yeah.
I am an entrepreneur, but I collaborate a lot with other entrepreneurs. That is what's allowed my business to be as successful as I have been, because even with me doing psychic events, excuse me, the psychic events I do, I'm not organizing those events. Someone else is organizing those events. I'm coming in as an independent contractor to work with them. So that's another way of entrepreneurship that people can take in consideration when they do collaborations.
Yeah, there's a method there. Because there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of different avenues, you know. You could be a real estate investor. I mean, there's a lot of it. You know, my thing is that you see a lot of people, they just want the easy way.
Right.
And they think becoming an entrepreneur is it being easier or less work?
It's not. It's more work. It's way more work. I have not worked a corporate job in almost a year. I started as an entrepreneur, but working a corporate job. And what I did was I allowed my work to fund my business. And it got to a point now, okay, now I'm fully into my calling and my purpose. And as I'm fully into my calling, my purpose, things have aligned for me in ways that I could never think that they would align. That's how you know you're walking in your purpose. So the most important thing is knowing your purpose. If you don't know your purpose, if you don't know where you're going or what direction you should go in, that's what causes a lot of people to be confused on if they should be an entrepreneur or work under someone. Now, working under someone is not a bad thing at all. It's just like you said, Joe, it's about getting with companies that have the same core values that you have, aligning with your purpose. If it's not aligning with your purpose, then that's when you get into that stressed out stage, overwhelming stage. You know, you may be great at what you do, but even though you're great at what you do, are you successful within yourself? Success is not measured by other people's standards. Success is measured by your own standards.
Exactly. Yeah. And it takes a lot to like swift through that. So that's just one thing that I wanted to talk about too, especially because it's like everyone's always like, "Oh, quit your job." Like, it was hard.
You can't just quit.
Yeah.
Do not just quit your job. Okay. If you got a family, well, first of all, if you got just you, okay, how you going to eat? How you going to pay your bills? How you going to be able to drive your car? Everything that you need to do to fund yourself. If you quit, if you don't have enough saved, at least a year's worth of savings, then what's going to happen? Yeah. You're going to be back out there getting another job.
How long did it take you? Because you said you were doing both. How long did it take you to just confidently say, you know what, I'm going to cut ties with the job?
So when I did it, I wasn't confident about it. So I worked in consulting in the insurance industry for quite a few years. And as a consultant, I would work a job for 6 months, sometimes a year. And it was very lucrative because, when you're consulting, you get paid way more than you do if you're an employee. So I started saving my money little by little. And then I started to have a lot of deaths in my family. And like my sister passed away when I started my last consulting gig, and that was very hard. And then after that gig ended, then my father passed away. He's not my biological father, but he was my father. My stepfather, he passed away in January of this year. So I'm like, okay, this is just a sign. I need time to grieve. I need time to work on myself. And so I was still building my business, still working my business at the same time. And then gradually, as I kept going, I was just like, wow, I haven't worked a job and I don't know how long. Like, it's not that I wasn't trying. It's just that I was more focused on my wholeness state, my wellness state. Yeah. And I think when we start to focus on our purpose, our wellness, our mental health, then that will align us with our purpose. And so that's what actually I gradually went into it.
That's super important. I agree with that too. I always tell people the first step in, because I do my own version of like life coaching as well. And I always say my first step for everybody is self-assessment.
Yes.
That's my first step is self-assessment, and, to start that. And then through that, that's when everything comes. Yeah. You get to know yourself, you get to, work on your mental health, and then you start getting to know like, what is your purpose again? Right. What is the things you love? What are your priorities? What are your, beliefs? What motivates you? Like, all those different things that a lot of times we forget about because life is hard. We go through things, there's deaths and jobs and money and kids and life, and just we forget about those things. And it's like, it's very easy. Yeah. Life is, it's very easy to put anything, your interest in all those different things on the back burner. Like, it's super easy. So we do have to kind of sometimes hit that reset button. And sometimes the world will do it for you.
That's the truth.
Sometimes the world will say, you know what, here's a couple deaths. I'm gonna make you sit down for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been working since I was 14. I had to work. Summertime, I was going to pre-college. And in the pre-college program, I was making my money because I was in the program. And then when that was over, I was working, working at Wendy's or working at Dr. J's downtown Newark, New Jersey. Like, I was trying my best to provide for myself because I was in foster care. And, I don't take anything from anyone who helped raise me. But there were still things that I had to do for myself. That some children may not be responsible for. Like, I had to be responsible for making sure I had my own school clothes sometimes, when I was in high school. That's not something a lot of children have to deal with when they are 14, 15, 16 years old, Sometimes I had to, like when it came to prom, I had to make sure I brought my own prom dress. It's a lot of things that I had to do. So I only knew hustle. I only knew work. Yeah. So it was just inevitable for me to just keep working. But in the midst of all that, I was submerged in trauma. I was operating out of survival mode. I wasn't living and thriving. Yeah. And so I had to get to a place where I started to live and enjoy life and not be so angry all the time.
Yeah. I relate with that a lot, because, you hear that you sometimes the biggest hustlers had to really start surviving and doing things for themselves at such a young age. Like I was the same thing, like 14, 13. I had to start. My mom passed from a heroin addiction.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's life. It all happens for a reason, unfortunately. And even through that, she was still an amazing mom. But of course, because of, going through that, I had to start raising yourself, early, just how to start beyond your P's and Q's. And it's just like you get that head start, like way more other people. You said if you don't got to do that at an early age, then you don't have to do that. But when you got to do that at an early age for whatever the reason is, and you got to just start kind of being on your shit. Yeah, it really makes you hustle different.
It does. It absolutely does. And then once I realized that I was going to be a full-time entrepreneur, I'm like, oh shit, like this is real. I still struggle sometimes with my time management skills. Like, I'm not going to lie. The administrative things you got to do, making sure you update your website, checking your emails, reaching out to people, getting leads. So much that you have to do behind the scenes that people don't see on social media.
Yeah. But you know how to go out and get it.
Oh, yes.
Because that's been
in me. My mom's been a hustler her whole life. Like, I got the hustle from her.
Yeah, you got the hustle from her. And hey, look, if I got to go get it, I'm going to go get it.
Right.
A lot of people, they want people to, bring it to them, or they wait for the boat. I always say, like, you got to wait for the boat. Mm-hmm. But now, like, you got to start living. Just like you said, that was super important. Same thing as I got older, like, there's a big quote that I live by. It's actually a Joe Budden quote. He was like, I've been dead for so long, I'm finally due for some living.
That's powerful.
Yeah, because like you could just be, that working or that just trying to survive. And then, with obviously mental health things like, you almost could be dead. Yeah. And then, it's time to start live more and live, like you said, through your purpose and through your belief. Like, you're still hustling, but you're more, like you said, you're working with your purpose. And then that means you're actually like living.
Yeah. And the name of my business is called Survivor Not by Chance. I created that name well before I even knew I would have a business. It was just my Instagram name. Honestly, it was just one day I was like, oh, I don't want to have my regular name on Instagram. I just want to have a different name. And Survivor Not by Chance came up because I'm like, I fought to survive. I didn't survive by chance. So from there, I was like, that's my business. That's my purpose. That's who I am. I'm a survivor. We all are survivors in some way. But you got to remember, you didn't just survive. You fought to survive. This didn't happen by luck. This didn't happen by chance. This didn't happen because somebody gave you a handout. You fought. You put that work in to get to where you are.
Yeah. And that's super powerful for you to understand that and to even showcase that, to remind others that, because a lot of times people think it's just, oh, well, nah, like, I survived. No, like you said, sometimes you got to give yourself credit where the credit is due. Is like, no, I fought. Because most people, it's one thing I say to friends and everything about everything, like, you make one different turn in your life. Like, if you were to go back and you, like, people don't sometimes really think about it. Like, if you go back and you said, I'm going to make one decision differently. Now, just imagine about how many decisions in life, all those different things that you did to fight, to survive, to be a better woman, to be a better, mom, all these different things, all those little left turns that you made that made you who you are.
Right.
If it wasn't for those, maybe you wouldn't have survived.
Right.
Maybe, you never know, like, which just life happens, but all those pieces add up. And, I always say small steps always equal great distances. Those small steps is what, help you survive.
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Now for you, like, where did, through surviving, right? And through that, when did you realize? Because, like, I always say, like, your book is the pressures of becoming a diamond. And I saw that and I instantly was like, wow. Because I'm such a firm believer in that. All right. Now, I know when I got that message, I got the message of that I was telling you from Eric Thomas, big, motivational speaker. He's changed my life. He was one of the individuals.
Awesome.
He literally got me out of like a depression and, serious stuff. And a lot of it was that. It was literally one of the messages that he said that changed my entire like way of thinking. Like literally, it changed my entire perspective on life.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you don't realize it. You know, you fight and you survive and you're going through those motions and you're grinding, you're hustling. And then, you know, sometimes it gets to a point where you're like, damn, I want to stop fighting.
Right.
I want to stop trying to survive. Like, what's up? And then you start getting upset at the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people realize that it's turning them into a diamond. It's creating that diamond.
Yes.
So for you, can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, when did you realize that? When did you understand that the pressure and everything that you were doing to try to survive was for a purpose?
So I knew at an early age. I've been intuitive my whole life. I remember being around 9 years old and saying to myself, I got to get good grades in school so that I can go to college and make something out of myself. I want to be a homeowner. I want to be a great mom. I don't want to be like the environment I'm in. I grew up in multiple different places. You know, people would tell me, oh, you're going to be on welfare just like your mom. You know, you're going to be, you're going to have all these different children by all these different men. You know, they were speaking that into me. And I knew in my heart, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to prove all these motherfuckers wrong. Like I am. And I just kept telling myself that. And then along the way, I would have teachers, I would have counselors, I would have, you know, different people who would come into my life that I consider to be angels who took me in at certain parts of my life to show me, okay, you can do this. And then the thing for me was I was a reader. I would read and get lost in books. And I wasn't the average reader. I didn't read romantic comedies or comedy books or like sexual dramas. I read autobiographies. I was different. I read biographies.
Like who? Give me some examples.
Oh, I have it in my book too. Like Maya Angelou.
I love her.
Love her. I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I read The Color Purple. I read all of her, not all of Maya Angelou books, but she was my favorite author when I was in high school.
Wow.
I would go to the library every weekend.
I didn't stumble upon her until recently.
Oh, she is amazing.
One of my favorite quotes is people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel.
Yes. Yes. And one thing and she inspired me so much because I did not realize that she did not live with her biological family. And wow. When I read her book and I saw her struggles and her challenges, and to be at the magnitude that she was coming from where she came from. And then Oprah Winfrey, oh my God, she was also another woman that inspired me in a whole nother level because she didn't live with her biological family either.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. And so she grew up with, I don't remember if it was an aunt, it was somebody who took her in and helped her create her narrative to who she is. And so sometimes when people, especially like, so my mom, she was addicted to drugs. So she could not take care of us. And it was because of her traumas that she experienced that were very severe. And I had to learn at a younger age, at an older age actually, that what I experienced from my mom was not my mom's fault. She only did what she knew how to do. But in that, I also knew that I had to make my own narrative. I had to make my own story. And I had to do it with purpose and be driven with passion. And I lost that passion for a while because I was just working, trying to put a roof over our head, you know. But eventually, I say about 3 years ago, I said, I'm going to do some self-healing because throughout my lifetime, I have always helped people people will always come to me and tell me stuff about their lives. I'll be in this grocery store standing in a line and somebody be like, yeah, you know, my father, he did such and such and such to me. I'm like, oh, I hate being in the path sometimes. So I've always had that, but I had to take time to go within me. People were people I thought I could count on weren't there when I was in a depressed moment in my life. And it was bad. I was on like 10 different medications for PTSD, psych meds. And I was broken, bad. And then I started learning meditation. And I started incorporating meditation in my life. I started my podcast, Surviving Not by Chance podcast, started my business. And then I just started getting out what I was holding on to, all the secrets that people didn't know about me. Because when people meet me, they automatically assume I grew up in a 2-parent household. They automatically assume I didn't have a rough life. Like I had a great life. But I said, you know what? Someone needs to hear my story. And at 9, I remember saying, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to tell people that I've been through what I've been through. And people across the world, I remember saying this to myself. It's like, I don't know where this came from. But I knew I had to get it out.
Yeah. Because there's a million people, probably more, going through the same similar things. You know, people going through the pressure, people going through those things, and they don't understand why.
Yeah.
Because like even if that was the biggest thing for me. Like my biggest thing, I dealt with depression since I was a little kid. You know, and until literally until I like understood that was my biggest always thing. It wasn't like I didn't hold it in. You know, like I would be expressive to myself, and I'd let myself feel, and all those different things. But I was getting sick of the pressure. I was thinking it was like, and I've talked about it on different pods, and I just was like, yo, like, fam, when's enough?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when's enough? And then you don't realize that it's making you who you are for reasons. Like, now I get it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but like that message and understanding that, until then, you could really just get like, yo, fam, like, what's going on here? Why isn't? And like you said, I don't want to, you know, when you said about being, you know, raised by not your biological parents and things like that, like, yo, especially with Oprah, that's crazy. With Maya Angelou, like, that teaches people so much more than I think people will ever even imagine.
Yeah.
You know, my thing is a little similar. So like I was telling you before, my daughter, she's not my biological daughter, but she's my daughter.
Yeah.
Like, I love that little girl more than anything.
Yeah.
It's complicated. It's not easy, but I love her more than anything.
That's your baby.
Yeah. And, you know, even me, like I had, you know, he was like a stepfather to me. I have a father, and, you know, he's active in stuff in my life. Our relationship, our situation was different. But like, you start learning love is love.
Right.
Like, love is love. And at the end of the day, again, what Maya Angelou, you know, Lou said, like, you know, people forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yes.
And that is what love is. Like, that at the end of the day, when how they made you feel that love. You know, so it doesn't matter. The whole biological thing, like I talk about it a lot, and I have a lot of disagreements with a lot of people sometimes, like, oh, it don't matter. I'm like, but yo, love is love.
It is. It really is. And then the other thing when it comes to the love aspect of whether it's biological or not, there's an internal struggle that people deal with that they don't talk about. And I can say that because I did. When I was in high school, no one knew, even in elementary school, no one knew I didn't live with my biological mother and my biological father. I didn't talk about it, so they didn't know. And because I wasn't accepting of that part of myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't owning who I was. And then that also comes with abandonment, rejection. And so when you're rejected or abandoned by your biological parents, how do you receive love? When you've been abandoned by the people who are supposed to give you that love that you deserve. So I think a lot of times people who have not been in that situation cannot understand the capacity of love that others can give, even though it's not biological. You have friends. Friends are not your biological family, But even though they're not your biological family, you love them.
Yeah.
And so how do you operate in love?
Yeah.
Do you operate in love by receiving it and giving it? Or do you operate in love that's conditional?
Yeah, 1,000%. I like that you said you brought the friends into it, because I always bring that up. I even bring that up when I'm talking about relationships with people.
Yes.
Because everyone all the time is always having a lot of toxic relationships.
Yes.
And I say, your best friend, is it toxic with them?
Right.
Most of the time it's not.
Exactly.
And I say, it shouldn't be. You know, like you love them. Like, you know, sometimes we talk to our friends every day.
Yes.
And you never have an issue. And it's like, you know, your friends, usually with friends, it's like if there's like weird energy, you usually cut it. You
right.
Don't, but when it's a lover, why do we
stay?
Yeah.
Right. Because it goes back to that childhood trauma. Okay. So I remember when I was in relationships, I've been single for 9 years. But when I was in a relationship, there were things in the relationship that I tolerated. And my friends were like, oh, you shouldn't tolerate this because that's toxic or that's abusive, or I couldn't see it. Why couldn't I see it? Because I was so used to seeing love in a way that was way different. And the way that I saw it was physical fights, bloody fights. And so I felt like, well, we're not fighting each other to that capacity. I don't have no marks. He don't have no marks. We don't have no bruises. So it's all right. No, it's not okay. I may say something. He may say something to call each other out of our names. That's toxic as shit. Like, you should not tolerate that. You're not going to tolerate that from your best girlfriend or your best guy friend. Why should you tolerate that from a partner? And so a lot of times we equate love to how we saw love growing up.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Yeah. So
and with that, because after that now, you know, for you, I don't know where you're at now. Like you said, you're single, right? Where is, or maybe this is things you see with other people that you work with or you coach, when they go through those things, right? Sometimes then it's hard to think that finding something healthy is even possible, or almost like it's too good to be true, you know, after going through those things or seeing those things. Because I feel like that's, unfortunately, it's so much more often than not to see those type of relationships and things. You know, for you, do you feel like you honestly got to a point where you can meet someone that is good for you and you'll understand and not think they're going to become something else? Or do you feel that there was a point in your life where you were still maybe like, are you sure you're saying you are who you are?
So I believe that, well, I'm very spiritual, and I believe that it's all about our subconscious mind, and it's all about our mindset. So if you want healthy romantic love, you can have it. If you have healthy friendships, you can have healthy romantic love. But in that, don't forget your friends. So a lot of times people get into situations where they meet someone, they're so in love, and they completely forget about their friendships, their platonic friends. That's what causes narcissistic abusive relationships, and people don't understand that. So for me, I absolutely believe there is healthy love. I absolutely have seen healthy love. I know that it's possible for me. I'm just waiting.
Yeah. It takes time, especially when you want that real love.
Right.
But that's good, because sometimes, you know, it's hard. I've just been noticing, like, you know, a lot of times, like, people go through things and they get hurt and they deal with situations, and then they don't know how to perceive something when it's not like that.
Right.
They almost think it's like bullshit or something.
But the most important thing, I think, is, like, this whole time that I've been single, I've been working on myself. Like, when I say I've been working on myself, I take time to meditate and cry and get out anything that's been holding me back, any hurt, any pain that I've been through in my past, or that may come up. I need to get that out. We don't make time to release. That's the problem in our community. We don't make time to release. The more you release, the more you have space to receive. If you're not releasing and letting go of all of the pain, all of the toxicity, all of the arguments that you've had in the past, learning conflict resolution is important. Learning how to handle a person with care and compassion. The more you give to the world in a compassionate way, the more you give out of yourself, the more you attract. The law of attraction. Whatever you give, whatever you put in your mind, you can attract it. At 9 years old, how did I know I was going to go to college, graduate from college, and be a homeowner by myself? I didn't know that, but I believed it. So whatever you believe in your mind, you can have it. I don't know any millionaire that has been a millionaire that did not believe in their vision. Elon Musk believed in himself. Nobody believed him. He had 3 failed businesses before he was successful. Yeah. And everybody told him to quit. He said, no, I'm going to be where I'm going to be, and it's going to be successful.
They always call you crazy before they call you a genius.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, it's serious. And also, I'm a firm believer of where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Exactly.
You have to focus. I'm big on that. Like there's another book too that I always recommend everyone check out too. It's called The Power of Upside Down Thinking. No, the end to upside down thinking. And it really digs deep on that. And, again, where you focus on, and I've been seeing a lot of that too these last few years. And it opened up after that, like I saw that the pressure, makes diamonds.
Yeah.
Like once I saw that and once my perspective changed on like life, then when I started focusing on things and they started happening, I was like, oh, okay, now it's game time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you, for now, when you talk with people and you coach people, and I mean, I try to help. I do the same thing. I talk to other people. I try to help. I try to do what I can. I try to lead by example. Sometimes people just don't understand that the pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah.
For you, what do you feel like? Is there any approach that you try to go to help them understand or see that? Like sometimes, like for me, it took me really an Eric Thomas speech for him to break it down. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like? Because everybody is different.
Right.
For you, how do you try to, what's maybe one or two of the core things? If someone's listening to this, what could you tell them to try to understand that some of their pressures are happening like for a reason so it can create a diamond within them?
So one, I think self-care is very important. Okay. I think it's very important to take care of yourself. And I think a lot of people forget that. We're prioritizing everyone above us. As parents, we prioritize our children. As an entrepreneur, you prioritize your business. As an employee, you prioritize your job. You stay late. You work overtime. You do all of this stuff for all these different people and entities. What are you doing for you? So I talk to my clients about self-care first so they can understand and know you are powerful. I call my clients gods and goddesses, emperors and empresses, kings and queens. You are royalty. You have this in your DNA. So if you know that you have this in your DNA and it's in your blood, remember who you are. So I uplift them. I build them up. And not only do I do that, I allow them to vent, to get out what they need to get out. And then we go deep. Okay. First, you affirm them. That's what I do. First, I affirm and reaffirm my clients to help them know who they are and understand that this process is going to be ups and downs. It's not going to be easy. I also suggest to my clients that we're going to do at least six consecutive weeks of coaching because things in life are going to come up. Yeah. And so with those coaching sessions, I show them my journey. I tell them to read my book. I send some of my clients I'll do life coaching sessions, and some of them I'll do readings. So I'll do like one or the other, like back and forth to help give them that insight. But the most important thing is self-awareness, knowing who you are, affirming yourself, building yourself up. And the second thing is meditation. Meditation in my practice is key because meditation allows you to sit alone with your thoughts, and you may have thoughts that come up that you forgot about. And those thoughts that come up that you forgot about, you go deep and you may get angry, you may get sad, you may want to fight, you may want to do all kinds of things. But in those moments, that's when you're feeling. Most people are numb. Most people don't have a feeling. Most people don't have emotion. So when you get back to that feeling, like some of my clients come to me, they're like, I haven't cried in years. After a couple of sessions, they're like, I had a good cry. I felt so good.
Yeah.
Because we have that emotion for a reason, you know? A lot of people don't realize you need to use that emotion. Some people may disagree with me and say, oh, I don't feel like I need to cry. Yes, the fuck you do.
Word.
Because if you're not crying, you're not using an emotion. So you mean to tell me you can use anger, you can use grief, you can use sadness, you can use happiness, excitement, joy, peace. You can use all those emotions except for crying. There's an imbalance. So helping my clients learn how to balance their emotions after we start going deep. And then once we start going deep, I reaffirm them. I lift them up. I build them up. I bring into them and help them see who they are. I remind them of who they are because we forget. I forget sometimes. You know, we're human. We're in this body. We're spirits, but we in a body and we forget shit.
Yeah, and we be busy. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on. And like you said, you know, a very important part was like, yo, we become numb, you know. And,
yes.
And also a lot of times too, because of like, I mean, a lot of people use like substances to you know, become numb, and they just never want it. They always want to distract themselves. Like, you know, that was my mom's reason. You know, she was a heroin addict, and she's wanted me numb. She didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to deal with the pressures. You know, she just couldn't. She broke, and she just couldn't want to deal with it. So she wanted to become numb. Yeah. Because sometimes people they think about it. They think about it. They're all in their emotions, and if they don't know what to do with those emotions, right, then that's when, you know, things start going different ways. We all go through things, you know, some of us work through it. Some of us, you know, have sex through it. Some of us do all these different things through it. But like you said, you actually have to like feel that emotion. Yeah. And then figure out, okay, what are you going to do with it? You know, how can we positively like do something from this, you know? Right. And again, it's like, why did this happen? I feel like a lot of people don't do the math. Right. Like they won't do the math on certain things. Like if they're mad or they're angry or they're whatever, they don't even try to dissect that and do the math and say, okay, well, why did this happen? Why am I sad? Can I break that down? No, they just don't want to feel, try to become numb and move past it. Yeah. And that's when things get like bottled up. Yeah. Yeah. It's very important to feel. Yeah. You're not human if you're not feeling. You're not living if you're not feeling. Yeah. You're just surviving. You're just in survival mode. And so with the pressures of becoming a diamond, so people who don't know, let me just explain to you really quickly. Diamonds are, they say a woman's best friend, but I know a whole lot of men who love diamonds too. They be having diamonds in their watches, you know, diamond in their rings, their jewelry dripping. Diamonds are beautiful. But do you know the process those diamonds go through in order to get to that shining, sparkling gem that it is? And so I sell something called crystals. Crystals are literally gems from the earth. Diamonds are gems from the earth. So they literally dig into these coal mines for these diamonds. And then after they dig, they have to put this stone or this gem through a pressure of fire, literal fire. And fire, everyone knows fire is hot. Nobody wants to get burnt. But in order to be that diamond, it had to be burnt. In order for it to be as beautiful as it is, it had to go through a pressure of the fire. If we think about Oprah Winfrey, and I love her, like I can't wait. One day I'm gonna meet her, y'all. Hell yeah, you're gonna meet her.
Oprah Winfrey came from nothing, literally nothing. I think she was around 2 years old when she was given away to one of her family members, living on a farm. They were poor. They had no shoes. She's one of the most wealthiest people in the world. Yeah. So when you look at the pressures as this is something that's actually making me to who I need to be in the future, opposed to I'm tired of this shit. It's all about mindset. Reprogramming your mindset. I teach a class on how to reprogram your mindset. Because if you don't reprogram your mindset, you're going to end up doing the same shit. You can't have a different result if you keep doing the same thing. So you got to change how you think, how you view yourself is important. It doesn't matter how anyone else around you views you. Somebody can think you crazy. You know how many people don't call me crazy? I don't give a shit.
Fuck 'em.
But I know who I am. I know my intentions. And I know that what I have inside me, the world needs to hear. I did not publicly want to do podcasting. I didn't want to put my name out there. I didn't want to show people who I was because I was afraid of people's opinions and being rejected. I receive more love now than I have when I was closed off.
Yeah. And it's like, people don't understand that. I feel the more pressure you go through in life is the more you're supposed to impact the world.
Yes.
Because it's like telling people, I could tell you all day on how to create that photo.
Right.
I could tell you all day.
Yeah.
But until you actually do it yourself,
the process.
Yeah, you ain't going to know what it's like. And
Yes.
Unfortunately, I believe, there's obviously certain circumstances where it doesn't happen. But I think in a lot of circumstances, we have to, unfortunately, go through that pressure. And I call it like a sacrifice. I just call it that. That's how I look at it now. I look at it as like a sacrifice that, hey, you know what? You had to go through that. So now you can help X amount of people.
Exactly.
Because it's so much bigger than us.
Yes.
It's so much bigger. So it's like, yeah, you got to go through some pressure, but because if you make those lefts the way you're supposed to make them, you're going to end up helping like so many people. I wouldn't even be able to explain to you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like it happens, but we get selfish.
Oh yeah.
And we're just like, oh, well, I'm hurt. And we don't see that bigger picture.
Right.
So it's like, that's like super important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, even my 9-year-old self saying, oh, I'm going to write a book and tell people about my life and show them that I was able to get, like I was in my own feelings, not even realizing I was manifesting for my future. And I have sold my book in 12 countries. Not only have I sold it in 12 countries, but people across the world in all these different countries have responded to me and reached out to me and told me how much my story has impacted their lives. I mean, I will never forget this one man. He lived in Finland. I don't even really know where Finland is, honestly. I'm not good with geography.
Yeah, me either.
But he was like, oh my goodness, it's so funny how your story and your life, I can see my life in your story. I've sold my book in Jamaica, Nigeria, Canada, where else? Sierra Leone, so many different places, India, Pakistan. And these people relate to my little old story. That's how I looked at it. But that's how impactful my story is.
100%. And, a lot of times we forget that we all go through similar lives.
Yes.
We, at the end of the day, we're all so different, but we're all very similar.
Yes, we are.
Like we forget, and we all go through pain.
Yes.
We all go through adversity. We all go through pressure. Some is maybe different from others. Like one person's pressure may be different from someone. But again, it's a feeling. It's like the love. It's like some things you can't quantify.
Right.
Like for you, something may happen and it might really hurt you. For me, it might not. Maybe my same hurt is something else.
Yes.
But we still feel that same emotion.
Exactly.
We go through just very similar things and we forget that sometimes. We think, oh, well, nobody understands. Nobody ever going through. I'm like, like, why me? Like, but it's like, look, again, it's like sometimes we have to like understand, hey, look, yeah, you're going through it. But we all have different versions of that, and then when you start sharing your story like that, you start understanding, wow, it ain't just me, but there's not enough people that are sharing their stories and explaining to others that it's going to be okay.
Right.
So that's why we have to like do that. And you have to like keep that up, keep promoting it, keep talking about it, keep spreading that love because people need your story.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
For real.
And you know, when I first wrote it, I didn't think I was going to get as much love as I did. And like even on Amazon, I have like a 4.7 star review out of 5 stars. Out of all these different people hundreds of people have read it.
Yeah.
And I just send gratitude, you know, that I've been able to make such an impact in so many different people's lives. And even the people that have not read my book, just me being in their presence and sending love and giving love and sending peace and wanting the best for people, that goes a way longer way. I used to be angry, believe it or not. I was an angry person, very angry. I used to curse motherfuckers out just because. But I had to evolve and grow to be who I am. I was living out of pain. And when I came out of that and became who I am, that allowed me to see the world in a different way. And reprogramming your mindset, listen to and this is another thing I tell my clients, listen to meditations while you're sleeping. Because while you're sleeping, your mind is still going. And while your mind is still going, if you listen to meditations that remove subconscious blockages, meditations that bring in peace, meditations that bring in love, different frequencies for love, different frequencies for grounding, that should work.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't understand. It's a process.
Yes, it is. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself. Give yourself love. Give yourself tenderness. Give yourself care.
And give yourself the book. Where can they find the book?
Yes. So the book is The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond. It is available on Amazon. You can also order it from me. The only way to get a signed copy is to get it from me.
Okay, let's go.
So you can go to my website, which is survivornotbychance.com. I have some different things set up on there with some of my products, as well as my podcast is on there. Different people who I interview who come on my show. I talk about survivor stories. And I just set a platform to show people that regardless of where you are, where you've been through, what you've been through, you can be whatever you want to be. There is no limit. The only limits we put on us is the ones we put on ourselves. You can't allow anyone to put you in a box. Yeah. So if you don't mind, I just read the back part of it so people can understand.
Yes.
So basically, in the book, I changed the names of the characters in my life. I changed different places. I've changed descriptions and things like that. So my name is Tasha in the book. So it says Aisya's character's name is Tasha. The book setting takes place in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. She shares her experiences with homelessness, hunger, domestic violence, and so much more. Tasha shares her experiences with low self-esteem, issues with colorism, and loneliness. Tasha watches her mother struggle with a drug addiction, which causes Tasha to be abandoned eventually. Tasha somehow pulls herself up out of the vicious cycle as she struggles to make it through high school without the basic necessities in life. Tasha shares her experiences in childhood trauma. She reveals a shocking secret of her existence in this world. She demonstrates how the pressures of becoming a diamond are challenging. Many children experience childhood trauma and are silent as a result of their trauma.
I can't wait to read it. I gotta go buy mine. We gotta get you on for round 2.
Yes, for sure. So basically, I just talk about a lot of the emotional things that I went through. At that time, I didn't know what it was, but the emotional challenges that I had, getting clothes from Goodwill or from churches. Back in the day, like, we didn't have 3/4 length shirts, but I wore 3/4 length shirts because they were too small. I didn't have name brand sneakers. Yeah. I had, what would you call it? Payless. Being bullied in school because of the way I dress, how that affected me emotionally, how I had no self-esteem to now where I am, and I'm confident. I know who the fuck I am. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Let them know.
So, It's so much that I talk about in this book that it hits so many different subjects that are taboo that we need to bring out.
100%. And people got to talk about more because a lot of us go through those different things, and they feel sometimes cursed. They feel like, why, like it's hard out here.
It is.
It's hard out here. And the biggest thing is like, okay, people go through those things, but to understand that it's who they're becoming.
Right.
And that it's making them a better person.
Yes.
Even if it seems like they're not. Because
yeah.
it could be confusing.
Yes.
It could be hard.
Yes.
But it's making them become, and it's just trusting that process. Like I tell with everything, always trust the process.
Yeah. And then when you get in those places of vulnerability, where you're angry, you're sad, you're depressed, you have to pull yourself up out of it. And the way I pull myself out is meditation. Meditation saved my life. It really did, because I was on, even though financially I was like doing so well, like when they have the American dream, like I was literally within that path of having my American dream, but I was self-sabotaging in certain situations because of my anger, because of my pain festering inside me. And when you get to that place where you feel you're just spiraling, find anything on YouTube that is free meditation music. Play it, sit in a quiet place, and just close your eyes and just breathe. Even if you don't know how to do anything, just be quiet and listen to the meditation music. It will change your life.
That's powerful. And self-sabotage, it's funny because I was just like looking into that because I see a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people overthink themselves into sabotage. And it's like, no, it's like everything's going to be okay. But sometimes people need that. They need to see. They need to see them. They need to see the math, and they need guidance sometimes, because it's very easy to, after going through life and after going through a lot of pressure and adversity, it's very easy to self-sabotage.
It is. It really is. And most of us do self-sabotage because it's a defense mechanism to prevent more pain from coming in our lives.
Talk about it. This is fire. We definitely got to get you on for a part 2. All right?
Sure.
Got to get you back. I know it's a little bit of a drive, but we got to get you back here. I got to read the book, and we got to get you here. But this was really dope. I thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
For real. This was amazing. A lot of different topics that, like, and this is the conversations that we need to have, because a lot of people don't understand, a lot of people are going through it, and it's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
Even though it's hard, you can be whoever you want. Like, I never thought I would sell a book that I wrote by myself in 12 countries with no help from anyone but myself and my spirit team working with me, Not only that, but I've been able to interview with Jane Elliott. I have Dr. Umar Johnson coming on my podcast. Like, being able to be in those spaces where I thought, I'm from Newark, New Jersey. I literally didn't always have a place to live or food to eat. But yet I'm able to experience these things because of me changing my mindset. Your
mindset, your perspective. And also, it's like, maybe if you didn't go through those things, you wouldn't be who you are today.
I would not be who I am today if it was not. I do not regret my childhood. I do not regret any of the experiences that I've been through, because if I regret that, then who would I be?
Exactly. And it's like, how many impact, and even like you said before, how many people have listened to the book, bought the book, you don't even understand what then that drip does.
Right.
Because then people don't, again, it's doing the math.
Mm-hmm.
You touch that one person, and then just now imagine how many times that one message can now get funneled away.
Yeah.
And we need that, because we don't have, like, for all those stuff, there's no manual that, with life. So it's like,
you got to make your own
up. You got to make your own. And we need people like you to keep just being real, being authentic. And thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
This was dope. Now, at the end of the show, something that we do that is a little different. We have you shout out something that you think is slept on out here. Something that you think is dope. Could be like a TV show, could be a book, could be anything, could be a friend, could be a business, could be anything that you think. You said meditation was one that I slept on.
Yes. That was the first thing that came to my mind, honestly.
It's okay, no, yeah. If you could give that one, yeah.
Also, I think spiritual healing is something that's slept on. We all are spirits. Literally, every single person in this planet has a spirit. Your spirit needs healing.
Yeah.
And if you're not feeding your spirit and healing your spirit, how can you operate? Because your spirit's in pain. Our spirit absorbs our emotions. Our spirit absorbs our pain. And so if you don't take time to heal yourself spiritually, how can you grow physically?
Talk about it. And it takes time. It
does.
Don't happen overnight. It takes time. Time.
Yes. I'm still growing and evolving.
Yes.
Okay.
And the last thing I do want to say is that, a lot of times people, when they're healing and they're, working on the self-love and they're working on themselves, I hear a lot of people always being like, oh, well, you need to work on you first. Then you could do, like, they'll be like, oh, don't start a business until you're healed, or don't get into a relationship until you're healed. I feel like personally, it's a never ending journey.
There we go.
It's literally a journey. You're always going to be healing. You're always going to be growing. You're always going to be shifting into, like, we change up so often.
Yes.
Stop putting your life on pause. Cause again, that's you not living.
Yes.
So it's like, I kind of want people to get that balance of like, it's self-love and everything, all that is amazing and healing is great, but don't put yourself on pause while you're doing that. Like, you can do both. I've done that. Like, I was broke multiple times. I was homeless while doing this podcast too. Guess what? Most people would have been like, oh, nah, you got to stop that. You got to stop the pod. You got to stop this. You got to figure that shit out. There's a way to balance it.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're always going to go through stuff.
Yes.
Maybe it won't be as hard as, being homeless or this or whatever, but it's life.
Yes.
We're always going to go through things. And even with the pressure, right? Like, when we're young and we're like having a hard time with clothes or getting bullied, right? We think it's the biggest thing in the world, right? Like, I was bullied too in school, and I hated middle school because of that. It caused most of my depression, between that and other stuff. But it's like, if we couldn't have dealt and go through that and grow through that, how maybe now I'm going to deal with bullying and entrepreneurship?
Right. Because it's a whole lot of it.
Like, like, you have to go through those things to become the person that you're destined to be. Because it's like, whatever it is that you're going through, like, just think, like, if you can't get through that, like they always say about like billionaires say this all the time. If you have a hard time with $100,
right,
how are you going to deal with $1 billion?
You can't. You're going to spend it all.
Or you're just going to mental, if you, so it takes time, but it's going to be all right.
Absolutely.
So this was dope. This was fire. We're going to get you on again. Round 2 coming soon. Therapy without a degree. This was fun. Where can they find you again?
You can find me on Amazon, The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond, or you can go to my website, survivornotbychance.com. I am also on social media platforms. I'm Survivor Not By Chance on all social media platforms.
We out here. Peace.